Right now, we will discuss the response styles of the client, the perpetrator, or the defendant. So, accordingly, the reason why we do have our own response style is just to conceal or to hide what is real and to present what is fake. So, why do we do this? Because we have personal vested interest. We have personal target of deceiving the other person for us to avoid painful and undesirable situations such as imprisonment or to gain benefit from others such as getting a large sum of money. So we have to be aware that number one, the response intensity of the person. So it is reported that there is fluctuations in the intensity of response when the faker knows he or she is being observed. So it's like similar to our IO lessons about Hawthorne effect. The second thing to be aware of is about the patterns that are not congruent with neuropsychological or psychological conditions or symptoms. For example, if the client is claiming loss of crystallized knowledge, however, the psychometric test results says or reports that the client has ability to learn, specifically in short-term recall skills. So these are suspicious incongruence. And another thing to be aware of is about contradictory responses. Meaning, it can be observed during interviews. So, one example, basic example is, if you are asked a question and then the required answer is just yes or no, then you have to be consistent, because if the question is, sir, do you know these two persons? And then your answer is not related, you just respond with your achievements in the city or achievements in your community, then that is contradictory response. However, it doesn't mean that the person is lying. Because if there is contradictory responses, then you as the evaluator or you as the expert, you are compelled to do further investigation and gather more relevant information. Another contradictory response is, for example, your client who is claiming that there is no murder because the person who is dead now committed suicide. Now, as the expert, you have to review if the person who is dead and who accordingly to the defendant committed suicide and is not murdered, you have to review if that person has history of purchasing or owning a gun, or has history of firing lessons, or has history of assembling and disassembling a gun. So anything that is very relevant. So again, contradictory responses is not a definitive signal that the person is lying, but it only compels the evaluator to do more investigation. So here are the common response styles. We have honesty, we have faking bad, faking good, we have invalidation, we have mixed response styles, as well as we have fluctuating response style. So it will be discussed more later. At the moment, I'll focus more on the first, which is about honesty. So honesty is the attempt to be accurate, within your frame of reference, and may show non-deliberate distortion. So the thing about honest response style is, according to studies, even for defendants, even for the perpetrator, malingering is strongly suspected in about 20% of the cases. This implies, surprisingly, or maybe not new to you, for me, it might be new, that this implies we are not designed to do malingering or faking or to do deception to other people. Also, in addition, um, because of this study, the another implication is, even if your freedom is at stake, meaning even if you tell the truth and you can be imprisoned, based on this study, um, defendants are not engaging in deliberate or blatant deception. Okay, so if we cross-examine other literatures about our tendency or our built-in design not to lie, according to, studies, telling a lie takes a lot of mental effort and it can be stressful. And so our body, our condition, our normal condition, we are not designed to stay longer in stressful situations. That is why, in reality, in the context of the court, those people who stand in trial are reminded of their moral duty to say the truth and nothing but the truth. Another input when it comes to honesty, this is not in our reference books, but according to studies, if you observe the professional poker players, they tend to have, if you are a male, you tend to grow more hairs, facial hairs, in order to cover for possible leakage in your bluff, in your poker game. And also for the females, they tend to have shades and they tend to inject medicines that can numb their face in order to not give away the bluff in their poker game. So another studies, let's say there's no accessories, there's no facial hairs, there's no shades, there's no medicines that can numb your emotions. Under normal circumstances, at what minute or how long can a normal person lie or fake? According to studies, it's like approximate or estimated is 5 minutes. That is the maximum time you expose yourself to a stressful situation of lying. After that, your body tends to signal you to go back to what is not stressful and what is normal. So, okay, let's move to faking bad response styles. So, faking bad is basically, it includes fabrication of non-existent problems or exaggeration of actual pathology. So, we have an example here, no? Faking bad since college. So, one example is in the context of forensic psychology, misattribution, which is stating deficiency due to false reason rather than true causes. So, it can be sample is claiming you have learning disability due to vehicular accident. So again, as an expert, you have to review medical records and if there really is an organic cause to this learning disability, as well as the history of vehicular accident, and then cross-examine with significant others if the accident really happened. Okay, third response style is faking good. So faking good basically means um, denial of wrong points or wrong attributes and exaggerations of positive points so that you can gain the advantage that you set for yourself. So in normal circumstances, we do faking good. For example, in romantic relationships and even in business dealings. So we tend to overemphasize the good things so that we can get that relationship that we intend. So that is normal circumstances. How about in the forensic? So here in my slide we have examples. So let's go to the bottom part because this is um, related to our topic. So misattribution. You tend to say that I beat my wife because I was grieving over my friend's death. So or the other way is the the devil. There's someone who is saying to me that I should beat my wife. So you tend to attribute the bad things to others so for you to appear good. So that is faking good. How to address that? Um, one way is to conduct ability test. Another is to conduct intelligence test. Because these two, ability test and achievement test, you cannot, no, the faker or the deceiver cannot do better on that test. We can also administer personality tests that has scales in randomness, inconsistencies, in impression management, and also we can um, conduct neuropsychological tests because these kinds of tests um, assesses the 5 domains and then how it is related to organic cause. And so um, we can faking good can be addressed. However, there are exceptions. So for example, you administer an ability test, but the person who is taking that ability test has taken a performance enhancing medicine, so it will affect the results of the test. Okay, so I just mentioned yes, again, ability and achievement test and intelligence test cannot be fake. However, as an expert, you have to cross-examine if the person is taking performance-enhancing drugs in order to positively influence the ability test or motor test. Okay, another response style, the fourth is invalidation. So basically, invalidation are the excuses on the side of the client or the defendant or the perpetrator. So it means that these are situations that can be a reason to invalidate your evaluation. So some examples are here, no, not reporting to your evaluation schedule. Another is, yes, you report to your evaluation schedule, but you have to leave earlier than is expected in order to avoid being fired from work or because your spouse is sick. Another is going to your evaluation schedule but you are substance intoxicated. And another, if you are given a series of tests leading to many unanswered questions or items, especially in MMPI 2. The fifth response style is mixed response style, meaning a mixture of those that I just mentioned. And then the sixth is the fluctuating response style. So both are dependent on the target and the objective of the deception. However, in mixed response style, it occurs on the same evaluation period, whereas in fluctuating, it occurs in different